Birds of Prey ends up being a fantabulous emancipation of the one Harley Quinn. Parasite makes history at the 92nd Academy Awards. I give my thoughts on whether or not it's worth it to see Sonic the Hedgehog this coming Valentine's Day. And I have not one but two of my closest friends guest host on today's episode. I'm Joe Acierno. This is Real Talk. Alright, so starting off the show today, I'm joined by one of my longtime closest friends, Jordon.
Hey.
Hey. Hi.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course, I figure, for a comic book film, if it's not Mike Sudera, then I think I should have you on board. But lucky for you, I had Mike on already. So. Kidding, totally kidding. I noticed with you, it's kind of shocking just how much of an encyclopedia you are when it comes to anything comic book related. I think you know more about comic books than I do about movies, because it's stuff that you just come up with out of nowhere. It feels. It never ceases to amaze me.
That's how bored I get at work.
Alright. He works in a law firm, folks, just for context. And I also hear that you've moved forward in the process to become a police officer, right?
Yes, I have.
Alright.
Hopefully getting there.
Yeah, so you know what? Good luck to you, and congrats on all the progress that you've gotten already. So, Birds of Prey. You want to say a little bit about it first? Just say what it's about. You want me to handle that?
Birds of Prey is about Harley Quinn's... It's in the title. It's Harley Quinn's emancipation from the Joker. They broke up. It's something that's never really been done before. It's never been translated into an adaptation in live action. We've seen it before in the comics. We've never seen it before in live action. And I will say, honestly, this was a much better adaptation than I thought I would have gotten from a movie in this concept, especially one from Margot Robbie's idea herself. Would have never seen it coming.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the main reason this movie works so well is because of Margot Robbie. She does such a fantastic job bringing this character to life. And again, I've said this before on previous episodes too. I never got around to watching Suicide Squad, and based on what I've heard, based on what I've seen as far as footage online and stuff like that, I don't plan to fix that anytime soon. So, but from what I do understand is that Margot Robbie is one of the main reasons to watch anything having to do with the Suicide Squad or basically the DCEU, right? This is a DCEU, right?
This is the DC Extended Universe, and she embodies this role. Mm-hmm. I have to say, I would have never seen it coming from Margot Robbie. I mean, granted, when they first announced her casting, I was very skeptical about it. I was like, this is not the kind of actor you would have expected to even be in a comic book role. You've seen the other things she's been in.
Yeah, The Wolf of Wall Street. I never thought she would have gone from Jordan Belfort's outrageously attractive wife to, this batshit crazy supervillain.
Yeah, and she just knows how to have fun with it.
She's having the time of her life.
She knows how to play this character so well, and it's not an easy thing to do, because we've seen her in the animated series, from the Batman Arkham video games, which I think is honestly where she really got her shine from, and then translating it to a movie, to a film, to see it really come to life is something not easy to do, especially for someone as complicated as Harley Quinn.
Mm-hmm. And I think, when it comes to roles like these where the character isn't necessarily the most mentally stable in the world, and that can't be an easy process to get into, because I feel like acting crazy, that it's very easy for that to just come off as fake or forced or shallow. But when you mix the unhinged personality that she brings to the role with just how much fun that she's having this with, it gives Harley Quinn a very gleeful presence. And so I think that's what helps her stand out from other people trying to portray someone who, not necessarily is the most stable person in the world. And building on the point that Harley's not the most stable person in the world, she's also the narrator in this film. And while the story and how it's told has kind of like a scattershot, an unfocused way of going about it, that works here. Because, again, Harley Quinn's the narrator, and, her mental state matches with how they go about this story.
Exactly. It's just her personality. That's how she tells everything. That's how she explains everything. Even in the comic books and the video games, anything she's in, that's just how she tells it.
Yeah.
She does not know how to stay focused. She keeps moving back and forth and back and forth. And that's one of the main things that I did like about it. Just the way that they were able to tell it in the perspective of Harley Quinn. Because at the end of the day, this is Harley Quinn's movie.
Yeah, of course. And, that's proven through the characterization of all the different characters here. Again, what did you think of how the rest of the Birds of Prey were characterized, how the role that they played in this film overall? What did you think of that?
I wish that we saw more of Black Canary.
Black Canary?
I thought that she had such an interesting backstory. I wanted to know more about her and how she was brought up, because we know the general backstory of her. They explain that.
Yeah.
I just wish we saw more of it.
I kind of felt like with the rest of the team, they had like their own backstories. I guess they kind of had their own personalities, even though personally I feel like their personalities just blend into each other, so it makes it harder for them to stand out. And in the end, they kind of just made it feel like that they were just there to round out the team. Like, in a way, they kind of felt like stock characters to an extent. And I don't know if maybe you can develop them more with the sequel, because I'm sure, you know for a fact that when they first sat down to write this screenplay, they were thinking, okay, how many sequels can we make? But at the same time, I'm not sure if that's going to happen, because the box office returns from this movie weren't particularly strong, which I was very shocked to hear. I honestly have no idea why the box office returns were so low. I have no theories on that whatsoever. But going back to how the story is told, I thought the voiceover was a bit excessive. I felt like it just kind of, I don't know, it just felt like it was taking the easy way out in explaining certain things. And again, I'm not one of these guys who's like, voiceover is the mark of a terrible film. I mean, look at Goodfellas, look at The Wolf of Wall Street, look at American Hustle. 3 of the greatest films that I've ever seen. All are chock full of voiceover. But at the same time, it just felt like it was done right there. It just felt like it was put in the right place there. Whereas here, it just felt like it was simplifying things too much. It was glossing over certain things too much. So I don't know what you think about that.
I get that point of view, and at the same time, I also sort of disagree with it, whereas it's like, it definitely helped it, but I do feel like it definitely was overused just a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Like, primarily my problem with it was the fourth wall breaking. Not that I have an issue with it per se, it just felt very out of character for Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Just to kind of talk to us. That's just not very...
You didn't feel like that was her? And again, I don't know, I've said this before too, I'm not much of a comic book aficionado, so... my point of view, of course, is going to be a little different on here. Like, it wasn't the fourth wall breaking itself that bothered me. Because, I remember when we were walking out of the theater, someone else in the audience was basically saying, oh, she's just fourth wall breaking, talking to the audience like Deadpool did. But at the same time, I could see that point, but it just felt different because, again, Harley Quinn is a bit more unhinged, so it just felt like a different person telling us. Even though, like I said, the voiceover was a bit excessive.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the rest of the performances in this movie?
I thought that Mary Elizabeth Winstead... I wish she had more.
Yeah.
She was way too good
to
not have enough.
I didn't think, and again, one of the bits of her personality that we actually got to see in this one was that she's very, very awkward. And, from Mary Elizabeth Winstead going from Ramona Flowers and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World to 10 Cloverfield Lane, it's nice to see her pull off, this kind of just, socially awkward misfit, but at the same time has this just really strong and tenacious, I know English, tenacious personality. And I thought that it was nice to see her pull off something like that. And of course you have Obi-Wan Kenobi totally killing it as the villain.
Black Mask. Oh man. Black Mask. That's not an easy thing to pull off.
Mm-hmm.
For someone who's, especially the way that they took the character, the way that they decided to portray him. The comics, he's a womanizer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they got that part down where he hates everyone, he hates women and everything like that. But to make him what they made him in this movie, it worked. Do I agree with it necessarily? Not really, but at the same time, this is a different interpretation of the character, and it made it work for what it was. I thought that Ewan McGregor absolutely killed it.
Yeah,
he was phenomenal.
He's awesome. And one of my concerns going into this one, as I said when I previewed the film in a previous episode, was that we're used to seeing Ewan McGregor as a good guy. Can he pull off being someone as despicable as Black Mask? And the answer is yes. 1,000 times yes. He is easily one of the best parts of the film. Absolutely. Margot Robbie and Ewan McGregor for sure carried this film. So, as far as other things I didn't like, the girl who played Cassandra, I was not crazy about her. And again, it's a child performance. Can you really say that's what I think about her? Yeah, you can. Look at Jojo Rabbit. 3 terrific child performances right there. There have been great child performances going on for decades. So, honestly, I never liked the excuse of saying, they're just children and whatnot. But at the same time, there have been so many great child performances in cinema for God knows how long. Yeah. So, I don't like that excuse at all.
In this case, I think it was more what she had to work with. I think it was the script, and I think it was the direction that they were taking her character. Because in my personal opinion, this was not the Cassandra Cain we should know. The Cassandra Cain in the comics, she was Batgirl. She was an assassin. She was raised by the League of Assassins.
Doesn't she become... You said she becomes Robin or something
Robin
like that.
and Batgirl.
Yeah.
It depends on which interpretation you're talking about. But that's not the point.
Again, I find this out from him because I know nothing about this.
The main one that we know, she was raised to be the bodyguard of Ra's al Ghul, one of the most deadliest Batman villains ever.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got her as a pickpocket thief.
Yeah.
That's not the Cassandra. I feel like they didn't have to call her. If they did not call her Cassandra Cain, it would have been fine either way.
Yeah.
But her as a character, she didn't have much to work with.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from there. And again, like, maybe that's something where, like, again, if a sequel actually happens, which, again, who knows at this point, then, like, do you think that there could be other things for her to do if they make another one of these?
With the direction they took it with Harley Quinn, I don't want to get into spoiler territory.
Yeah, I should have said that, like, you know, I don't like doing spoilers because you know my story, you know my history with getting spoiled twice for Avengers Endgame. My favorite Avenger gone. Thank you, Instagram. Anyway,
but with the direction they took it in, I don't know where they're gonna take it because this is a completely different. Unless they do some kind of crazy stuff, they just pull out of the blue with the Batman coming out and everything. We don't know where that's gonna be. We don't know if that's gonna be separate from this. There's no way of really knowing where it's gonna go. I have absolutely no idea whatsoever where this is gonna go.
So now to cap things off, as you know, with every movie I watch, I like to grade things a certain way. I always do a 1 to 100 score. Now, do you like, you know, would you rather do like a 1 to 10, thumbs up, thumbs down, like whatever you want to do, man?
I'm fine with the 0 to 100.
0 to 100? All right, so off the top of your head, unless you want me to go first.
I'll give it 85. 85?
Okay, yeah. I'm going to give it somewhere around there. I give it like an 80, an 83. Because, again, the film is so much fun. It's hilarious throughout. It's a very, very funny movie. But at the same time, you know, it had more to offer than that. And I forgot to mention, too, the action sequences are terrific. There's something that felt very fluid, but also just felt different, felt unique in some kind of way.
Yeah, it definitely did, especially when Harley Quinn's on screen and the kind of stuff she was pulling off against all of these guys that she was beating down. Oh my God! Just thinking about it, oh my God! You felt it.
Yes, as a man, no. But no, in all seriousness, the film was a lot of fun. It's a lot more. It has a lot more to offer than I thought it would. It was very colorful, very, very energetic too. It kept my attention throughout the entire runtime. But again, there were certain things that weren't perfect about it, and particularly with its screenplays, probably where it falters a little bit. But overall, definitely worth watching. I think it should make more at the box office than it has been, because there have been a lot worse movies coming out that have made so much more than this one has. So honestly, I'm gonna stick with an 83 on this one.
Yeah, I'm still sticking with an 85. This is definitely a movie where even if you're not a comic book fan, you can just turn off your brain and you can just have a good time.
Yeah, exactly. That's the approach that I had going into it, because I say again 3 times now, I know nothing about the floor at all. So on that note, Jordan, thank you for being on with me today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's great having a conversation with you.
Yep.
Moving forward, this past Sunday was the 92nd Academy Awards on ABC, and needless to say, it was an interesting show for a number of reasons. I was just reading before how the viewership for the show sank to a new low, and I feel like that's one of the trends that seems to be presenting itself with all these award shows. Like every time I read something like, oh, Golden Globes, viewership sinks to a new low. Emmys, Tonys, Grammys, viewership sinks to a new low. And obviously this did not beat the curse. The viewership last year didn't seem to go down too much, but I believe that was because that there was no host for the ceremony for the first time in God knows how many years, decades, whatever. But it was an interesting show in terms of the winners. In the technical categories, the big winners were 1917 and Ford v Ferrari, both very, very deserving. In terms of my own predictions, I think I did okay. I think I got the majority of them right. I could be wrong. I haven't really tallied up the math yet. But in a lot of the categories where I did predict something wrong, I thought about who actually won in that particular category, and I said, okay, you know what, that actually makes sense for the most part. The only one that I can think of where I'm like, I don't know if I would have picked that one was probably Best Visual Effects. 1917 won that particular category over films such as The Lion King, Avengers Endgame, where I thought they had more I thought the visual effects in those particular films contributed more to themselves than the case for 1917. But again, you know what, maybe I think a big part of visual effects is not being able to see the visual effects. And I think that's probably where 1917 ended up getting the win in the end. in terms of the major categories, all the acting categories, I think I got pretty much on the money. I didn't get a chance to see Judy. Renee Zellweger won her second Academy Award for her performance as Judy Garland. I didn't get a chance to watch that one, but I remember based on what I saw from the other nominees in that particular category, it was a particularly competitive field. You look at Brad Pitt winning supporting actor for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You look at Laura Dern in Marriage Story. She won Best Supporting Actress, very well deserved win. This marks Netflix's first acting Oscar win. So congratulations to her. And then you look at the Best Actor field, very, very tough field. I saw all 5 nominated performances, and I figured that Joaquin Phoenix was going to win. I don't think there was anyone really doubting that Joaquin Phoenix wasn't going to win for Joker. It was an incredible performance. As divisive as the overall film was, one of the things that everyone seemed to agree with was that Joaquin Phoenix was absolutely amazing. And he managed to bring new life to the Joker. He managed to differentiate himself from Heath Ledger's iconic performance, which I didn't think was possible. I mean, I figured, he's a talented enough actor. He could probably do it, but I didn't think he'd do it in such spectacular and unforgettable fashion. So congrats to Joaquin Phoenix on his big win. He's been in the business a long time. He's been nominated a few times, and he's lost up until now. So good for him. Another one of my predictions that seemed to be on the money was the fact that there were a lot of political speeches, and then again, I think in large part this contributes to the declining viewership over this particular show, over all the other award ceremonies that seem to be suffering with the declining viewership. And again, I think about this too, and not for nothing, I'm curious as to how much the declining viewership at the Academy Awards and all these other award shows actually affects the people nominated and actually affects the people attending the ceremony. So if it doesn't affect them at all and they honestly just don't care for that reason, then honestly, more power to them. But moving back to the actual winners and nominees, the biggest surprise came from Parasite, upsetting 1917 for Best Picture and a couple other categories as well. Going into the night, 1917 was the clear frontrunner. It won the Golden Globe for Best Picture, won the Producers Guild of America Award for Best Outstanding Producing, and won the Directors Guild of America Award. So it had everything that it needed to coming into this particular ceremony. Then, once it came around the time to Best Director being announced, and Bong Joon-ho taking it for Parasite instead of Sam Mendes for 1917, that's when the odds started to shift more in the favor of Parasite, because before then Parasite had also picked up Best Original Screenplay and Best International Film, to no one's surprise, because the only one of those 5 nominees actually nominated for Best Picture. So, then when it came to Bong Joon-ho picking up Best Director, he had by far the best speech of the entire night. He was one of the only speeches that I listened to, and I thought, wow, this guy's here for the right reasons. He obviously has a love for cinema. He gave a nice shout out to Martin Scorsese, who was also there for The Irishman, and the kind of influence that he had on him. So it was very nice, and it was obviously very touching and heartfelt. The entire auditorium was standing up, and I thought that was very well deserved. A nice little consolation for the fact that The Irishman got 10 nominations and didn't win anything the entire night. So I thought that was very, very nice. And he also gave a nice little shout out to Quentin Tarantino, who always supported his films when they were being released in America, and him being from South Korea, he didn't really have the best name recognition for either himself or his film. So him shouting out Quentin Tarantino like that, I thought was very, very nice. And just the kind of respect that he gave to the other nominees, I thought that was probably the highlight of the entire night. And I thought that's how you do one of these long, I don't know if I want to say long-winded, but if you want to go past your runtime for an awards acceptance speech, that's how you do it. I think the rest of the people who won on Sunday night, especially in the acting categories, should probably take a note from Bong Joon-ho. But again, what do I really know? And in terms of Parasite winning over 1917, now here's the thing. The 5 frontrunners for Best Picture this year were obviously Parasite, 1917, The Irishman, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Joker. Now to me, personally, even though there were some that I liked just a tiny bit more than the others, all 5 of those films I felt were in at least the same league. So if The Irishman couldn't win, I think Parasite is a great choice. If, again, coming after The Irishman, Parasite is probably the next best thing that they could have done with. And I think, and in retrospect, going back the last few years, where the Academy honestly hasn't been doing the best job picking the Best Picture winner, in my opinion. This is definitely the best. This is definitely the best Picture winner since Birdman, which was from 2014. So honestly, it was a very interesting night for a lot of reasons. A couple of great musical performances. From Elton John, I thought killed it with "I'm Gonna Love Me Again." His song won, and that was very well deserved. And yeah, overall, the show didn't drag nearly as much as I thought it was going to. But then again, I took a shower about halfway through, so maybe that alleviated some of the damage there. But overall, definitely a night to remember. Definitely a very historic night because Parasite is the first film not in the English language to win Best Picture, and so it was. In that respect, I think it was a pretty solid night. So congrats to everyone involved with the making of Parasite. All the honors that the film's receiving, definitely very, very well deserved. All right, so to finish off the show today, I've got another one of my longtime closest friends, William McDonald. How are you doing today?
Doing all right. All
right, so a little background context. I've known this guy more than half my life. Same case with Jordon before. We are working on a screenplay together, short film screenplay, and I'm not going to give too much into that. I'm going to leave you in suspense there. So, William, Sonic the Hedgehog, tell us about it.
Well, this is a movie that's been under a lot of controversy for a long time. You know, at first, way before we even got trailers, people weren't even sure it was going to be made. You know, there was an announcement, I don't know how long ago, and people were like, they're not going to pick it up, it's not going to get greenlit. Then, out of nowhere comes the Sonic the Hedgehog trailer, we start seeing posters and things. People are like, how's this going to be? How's it going to look? And then we saw Sonic. Yikes.
Yeah, that's not kids movie material, folks, if I'm being honest.
No, that was a thing of nightmares. That
was horrible. That was horrendous. Think about it.
You might see that pop out in like Five Nights at Freddy's or something.
Yeah, think about it. Millions of dollars, more than most of us make into a year, went into the creation of that model of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Hooey! Yes, it did, unfortunately.
And then, of course, with the insane amount, and even just with that first trailer, just outside of Sonic itself, nothing else seemed to be working for it. Like, everything else just seemed, like, really cringe-inducing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it seems like it's a little bit stereotypical. I still think the movie has potential as it is now.
Yeah.
Because after the backlash came in from the original design...
They're just like, holy shit.
Yeah, the backlash was overwhelming.
That was one of the worst canned trailers I've ever seen in my life. And honestly, it deserved every single...
Every second. Every little bit of criticism, you know?
But now that they actually did take the time to push back the release and redesign Sonic, for that alone, since they did listen to everybody, I will end up seeing this movie. And so the real question is where my expectations are for it.
Well, you know, interesting about the redesign, the artist who did a lot of the artwork for Sonic Mania and kind of had it hand in doing that, they hired him to the team so they can really get the look for Sonic down in the remodel. Because the remodel looks amazing.
Yeah, the remodel does actually look very good. It makes sense to have, or how they made him look, it makes sense to integrate him into, like, you know, real world.
It pains me that I can't think of his name right now, but he's the reason it actually looks, like, good.
So, yeah, just like I had with Jordan, the comic book aficionado, who knows much more about the subject than I do, Exhibit B. So, with Sonic the Hedgehog. Indeed. So, now, Ben Schwartz as Sonic the Hedgehog, I honestly feel like he can go either way. He was a minor character on Parks and Recreation, if you ever got a chance to watch that show. Great show.
I haven't. Don't flame me.
Yeah. No, it's honestly a great show. Like I said, he has a minor role. And he was funny in the minor role. But I wonder what happens if he's the main focus.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Sonic's always been a little bit of a cocky, arrogant kind of guy. But at the end of the day, he's got a good heart and has a clear sense of right and wrong. So, you know, it might make for an interesting dynamic. It's not necessarily going to be your average superhero, but he might be a little more along the lines of, say, Spider-Man with his quips and whatnot.
Yeah, I could see that. So I think Ben Schwartz will capture the essence of Sonic. I feel weird saying that about a video game character, if I'm being honest. I think he'll capture the essence of Sonic. It's just, again, if he's the main focus for the entire runtime, is that going to get a little grating? That's what I'm worried about.
Because a lot of the complaints people have with some of these movies sometimes is they focus too much on the humans.
Also true.
When you have a whole movie dedicated to a character's existence, it's important that you really focus a lot on that character and doing them justice. So it's my hope that they actually paid a lot of attention to the character and tried to flesh him out in a way that wouldn't get old. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A way that pays homage to the origins and kind of works with it, you know?
Yeah.
So, and from what I've seen in the new trailers, I honestly think he's a good Sonic.
Yeah.
Even better than some of the more recent voice actors, from being honest.
Yeah, I think one of the things
but
one of the things that makes me nervous is that one of the images or really audio files that I have in my head of Sonic the Hedgehog is the really shitty voice acting that I've heard in a lot of the video games. It's tough to listen to.
If you ask me, I think the best era of like voice acting was like somewhere between Secret Rings, Sonic Unleashed. I think, again, I'm terrible with names, but whoever was doing the voices during that period of time was probably the best voice actor there was for Sonic. And with Ben Schwartz, you said?
Yeah, Ben Schwartz.
I feel like he captures a lot of that essence. You know, there's a dynamic there. Like, he can go high and low. He could go angry, sad, happy. You know, I see it. He has that potential. Whereas the new one's just kind of like, I'm this. You know, I don't. That was kind of weird.
Yeah. I'm getting Chuck E. Cheese memories from when I was 7. Anyway.
Yeah, especially with the old design. Holy shit.
Yo,
anyway,
that's a different subject. Those are memories I do not want to walk down. Anyway. So now I think going back to last year, Detective Pikachu, that was a big surprise for me. I did not think I would enjoy that as much as I thought I would. But the big pull with that one was Ryan Reynolds is as Pikachu.
Yeah.
He made the movie. So I think whether or not this movie ends up being the Detective Pikachu of 2020 is really resting on Ben Schwartz.
I think you're right about that. You know, I mean, it depends on a lot of things. The dynamic of all the characters on screen and whatnot. But you're right. At the end of the day, it's a Sonic movie, and if Sonic's not done justice, then, you know.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you know, this is a video game movie. I hate to sound like a snob, but oh well. This is a video game adaptation, so...
They never really have a good history.
Exactly. The max potential for most movies is like right about here. Whereas for a video game movie, it goes way down here. And honestly, this is where Detective Pikachu is, and it's fine. It works. So this is probably the best that Sonic the Hedgehog can end up being, and maybe that'll just be fine. And I look at some of the other people involved with this film. Jeff Fowler, the director, he has some experience with doing this as well. He did an animated short a while ago called Go for Broke, and it was actually nominated for the Academy Award for Best Animated Short. So he has some comedic experience as well.
Right.
So I didn't think he'd be like as much of a pull or really be one of the bigger bets going for this particular film, because I feel like with a lot of these, you don't really focus so much on like the director and the pedigree that they have going into it.
No, not really.
But other than that, of course, I think the biggest bet that this film has working for it is Jim Carrey.
Yes,
Jim Carrey is going to be the best part of this movie.
I definitely think was a really good casting choice. You know, I do wish they had plumped him up a little bit, because you know Dr. Eggman.
He's well shaped. I was gonna say he's well shaped for The Biggest Loser. But, I could say I totally forgot about that. But
yeah, I mean it's interesting to see though, because I remember when we did see the first trailer, Sonic aside, there was a scene at the very end showing like Eggman looking more like his classic design.
Yeah, it was like a quick flash.
It was a quick flash.
Yeah,
so I hope at some point there's like a transition. You know, like we see him as kind of like this young hip dude kind of transition into madness or something just because he can't freaking catch this hedgehog.
Yeah.
Kind of like the games.
Yeah.
You know.
So I think, and again, Jim Carrey, he's obviously has a very electric personality. He's a very charismatic and zany performance persona. So he's a great fit for this. And again, even with the newer footage that we're seeing of this film, like I said, he's going to be the best part of this movie. I've laughed multiple times just watching some of the clips that he's had. I
definitely think he's going to be one of the better parts. I have yet to say the best, but definitely one of the high points of the movie will be seeing Jim Carrey.
Yeah. You know? So, I mean, I think at the end of the day, I will, like I said, I will end up seeing this. Will it be worth it for me to see this on Valentine's Day? Yeah.
What are we doing? Let's be real.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, let's not kid ourselves, folks. We don't like to lie here. So, yeah, this movie will... I will end up seeing it Friday night.
Yeah, definitely. Me too.
Yeah. So yeah, William, Slick Willie, thank you for being on here. Really appreciate it.
Anytime.
And that's all we have for Real Talk today. Please like, subscribe, continue to tune in. And I'm Joe Acierno. This has been Real Talk.